The first two episodes of the highly anticipated Star Wars spin-off series Ahsoka were just released on Disney Plus earlier this week. In this review, we'll cut through the hype and tell you if Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka lives up to the legacy established by the well-liked Star Wars Rebels series. By the end of this video, we'll lay out what woke elements you can expect and if this show's already headed down a path of being worth it or woke. Set an indeterminate number of years after the events of Return of the Jedi, Ahsoka and a group of mysterious Stark Force users are hunting for a map that can lead them to the banished military genius Grand Admiral Thrawn. For years now, many have derided what has been mockingly labeled New Star Wars, an allusion to the marketing and branding disaster that was 1985's New Coke. They have loudly complained that the Force's female Kathleen Kennedy hates male legacy characters and has done everything she can to write them out of their own stories and replace them with less interesting and unworthy female successors. Kennedy and team have now shown us they are just as willing to shove relatively new female characters into the background of their own shows as well, making them far less dynamic and compelling than in any other iteration, in order to promote less worthy, even younger, even snarkier, and far less interesting gals. Relative newcomer Natasha Liu Bordizzo, I probably butchered that, plays Sabine Wren, a character known from Star Wars Rebels. She's a rebel, do you get it? And a loner with no respect for anyone's authority but her own. She's also Ahsoka's ex-apprentice. When their paths once again cross, for reasons so uninteresting that I can't remember a day later, they'll have to deal with their shared emotional baggage, with a lot of quiet and slow-paced dialogue. Bordizzo plays Sabine with all the dimensions of the ridiculous two-dimensional cartoon mural that makes repeated and quote-unquote meaningful appearances in both episodes. At 5'7" and maybe 100 pounds, Bordizzo is completely incapable of physicalizing anything remotely resembling the tough loner that she's promoted as. In fact, so far, the series feels like the cinematic version of teaching a girl how to punch. It marginally resembles Star Wars, but is awkward and has no power behind it. Save your comments, of course there are women who can throw a punch. But, if you're one of the ones upset by this statement, you're probably not one of them. From the story to the actors, nothing feels natural or organic in Ahsoka. The lightsaber battles feel like rehearsals. The Ahsoka headpiece looks like a lifeless rubber hat. And there's even something odd about how some of the characters walk. Both Bordizzo's Sabine and General Syndulla, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, walk with a stiff and stilted gait, as though they are actively and inexpertly trying to, quote-unquote, walk like a woman. Even Rosario Dawson, who was impressive in her introduction as Ahsoka in The Mandalorian, and I didn't watch Boba Fett, Worth or Woke didn't exist at that time, and I didn't think the series looked like much, seems bored. There is one bright spot in this malaise of boredom. The recently passed Ray Stevenson plays Baylan Skoll, a one-time Jedi apprentice and now Sith Lord, though that's not been expressly stated. Stevenson is the coolest-looking live-action Dark Jedi since Vader. Chronologically speaking, Vader was after Maul. The character design is simple and classic, and aided by Steven's imposing size and the character's quiet thoughtfulness. It makes for a very compelling departure from what we've seen over the last 20 years. Stevenson's Skoll would be a very interesting villain indeed, were it not that every other character in the show exhibits all the energy of a PBS retrospective. With dull and uninteresting characters, subpar special effects, a plot that fails to grab you, the most brutally slow pacing ever displayed in an action series costing north of $100 million.
It's not a liquid!
And the never-ending entertainment debacles that have been metaphorically and literally streaming out of Lucasfilm specifically, and Disney in general, there's no reason to assume that the remaining episodes of Ahsoka will improve enough to warrant spending any of your time watching them. Let's get the big one out of the way. There are so many female characters artificially forced into traditional male roles. Normally, we don't deduct a ton of points for this, as it's usually just eye-rollingly annoying. In this instance, however, it is so pervasive and so obvious that we couldn't easily overlook it. Furthermore, were it not for the fact that every one of them sucks, even Dawson, who we know can play the character but just isn't, we would have dinged the score less. But the representation ratio is off the scale, and is one of the main reasons we ding the non-wokeness scores so hard. Okay, so they awkwardly inserted actresses with no commanding presence into traditionally male roles. But is that enough to seal the show's fate as miserably woke, or is it going to be a sleeper worth it hit that just needs a bit more time to find its legs? With 2 episodes in the can, we're comfortable labeling it as woke-ish, as so far anyway, and we have little hope that it will improve. For even more details, including more woke elements, click on the link in the description to read our full review. And remember, as you like this video and subscribe, the Oscars suck, the critics are a joke. We'll let you know if it's worth it or woke. God bless.